from a defensive standpoint, what is the challenge in going up against Alabama? Because you know they're going to push tempo and you know they're going to get their shots up.
No question. Can't let them make back-to-back threes. They're going to make some, but 6 points, in a 20, 25-second span is, if you're down 2, now you're down 8, it just changes the game. I thought that's what hurt Maryland. They had, I think, three situations where they went back-to-back or 3 in a row. The only way you're going to keep them off a run is don't let them hit back-to-back threes. And I think the thing that really scares me is usually a team that's a great shooting team, Romy, they don't rebound it great. But this Alabama team, they shoot it great, but they're so athletic they go offensive rebound as well. Usually a team like, the Houston Rockets, not right now, but, when they were really good, they shot a lot of threes, but they couldn't offensive rebound because they're so spread out. These guys run in and rebound as well as shoot the three. So they're the hardest team to defend in the country, probably. Gonzaga does it differently, but I'd say they're 1-2 as far as challenging to stop. So it's going to take everything we got to make sure we don't give up 90. Because if you look at their scores, Romy, their losses, teams are able to hold them in the 60s.
What about the team itself? What's the vibe like around that team?
Well, they're having a lot of fun. I think, we're trying to make sure they're having a lot of fun. This is not the time to be pounding your team with a lot of hard practices. We've been doing this for six months, so got to keep them fresh. Got to keep the guys' spirits up. Got to make sure they're enjoying the ride right now. But they know they play for UCLA. It's one thing we talk about a lot. As far as expectations, and I want their confidence up. You play in a gym where there's 11 banners hanging over you, and you came here for a reason. Westwood's great, as you know, Romy. It's beautiful. There's no place like Southern California, but there's expectations in Westwood, and you shouldn't come to Westwood if you don't think that you have a chance to make deep runs in March and try to hang banners. So I keep reminding them of that, and and trying to get them to embrace that.
UCLA head coach Mick Cronin joining us. Mac, to that point about expectations, you've talked about this concept of winners know why they win. You have won 3 straight winner-go-home games. Are you starting to see a group that knows why they're winning? Have they learned how to win?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, as you know, that's a saying I say all the time with those guys. Winners know why they win, but here in the bubble, what we've really learned was we struggled in the first half against Michigan State, gave up 44 points. Since then, our defense has been why we're alive, and our defense is why we will survive. If we can't stop Alabama in their three-point shooting, we're going home. So, I think the guys understand that. You got to try to give your guys a formula, and if we can get this done, if we can solve this problem, we're going to win the game. And we were able to take care of the ball and be the better defensive team in our last 2 games. We found a way to grind it out against Michigan State, but we really were dominant in our last 2 games. We never trailed, really. We won by double figures both games because we took care of the ball, single-digit turnovers, and we were clearly the best defensive team on the floor. If we can do that against Alabama, I think we'll survive.
Mick Cronin joining us. Mick, I think that you answered my next question in large part, but I did want to ask you about that Michigan State game because what impressed me the most was the fact that you were down by 11 at halftime and the team had come into the tournament having lost 4 straight. I mean, a team with less character and less grit might have packed it in, but nobody did. What was your message to the team at halftime, and what did you make of the way they responded?
Well, it was real simple. We're going to have to toughen up and get after these guys, and we're going to have to be better. Really, we're going to have to be better than Michigan State at what they do, which is physicality and toughness. We're going home if we don't find a way to become tougher than Michigan State. We're going home, and we played harder than them in the second half, and we came from 11 down because we were the tougher team. We ratcheted up our intensity and our physicality, and the guys did it. It's probably, look, I've been doing this since my 18th year as a head coach, so I don't want to say it's 100% probably the best win, the most proud I've been of our kids, but off the top of my head, it's the best win that I've had as a coach because you're playing Michigan State at Purdue on the other side of the country. You're playing in the second half. It's 11:30 at night somewhere, northwest Indiana. All the elements were there for our kids to give up, being the West Coast kids, in a bloodbath of a game that was, they were letting the kids play. And, I think, a different team with less character, to your point, Romy, would have packed it in and gone on back to Southern California where life is great. But these guys refused to give in. So that's why I was, maybe the win I'm most proud of in my career.
UCLA head coach Mick Cronin. I'll tell you what, Mick, you've done this a long time. You've won some big, big games. For you to say that you're as proud of that win as any other win you've had in your career, I think really says something. I've said on the show before that the 4 games that you lost before the tournament were all to teams that reached the NCAA tournament and advanced in the tournament. In fact, 3 of those teams are in the Sweet 16 with you right now. So what does that say about how tough the much maligned Pac-12 is?
Yeah, Great point. I'm glad you brought it up. I used to coach in the Big East, Jim, so it doesn't surprise me. I knew when we were playing those games how good those teams were. It didn't surprise me that they've advanced, and there's 4 of us in the Sweet 16. So it made us better. And when you're playing that level of basketball, it's almost like you're playing in the NBA. You can play, the NBA teams, you can play well and lose. You win. Heck, if you go 50-32, you had a good year in the NBA. You win 2 out of 3. You're one of the best 5 teams in the NBA. So you're going to lose some games. I think sometimes in college, because of the bye games early in the year, and some conferences, the bottom is so soft. People expect teams to win all the time, and we're in the pros. You understand it. You're going to lose games. Hell, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost games, but in college, it can be, they lost. They're not any good. That's not the case when you're playing great competition, buddy, and it definitely helped us, made us better, got us ready for this tournament.
Mick Cronin joining us. I love it, actually. I'm trying to be as objective as possible, but I am a West Coast guy. I'm an LA native. I love the way the conference is showing up the way it has. And then, Mick, something else that was just great. The world saw that amazing moment after the Michigan State win where you got to reunite with your dad for the first time in a year. What was that moment like for you, Mick?
Oh, it was great. It was funny, Rome, that the security was trying to stop it. They didn't want to let him come walk down the steps. And, he's 79, so he didn't care if they arrested him. He was coming.
Great.
He was coming, man. So, they were running over there to try to stop it, but there was nobody stopping him. So it was great. We talk every day, but it's not the same as seeing somebody. I miss having him around the practices, miss having him, stay with me for about a week every month, out in L.A. So the pandemic's been crazy on everybody. It's been cool for our players because, as you know, in California, we actually believe in the virus and we try to beat it versus some of the other states in our country. So we haven't had a fan at a game all year. So it's been great in the postseason here for our players to have their families at these games, because if you're driving your kid around every AAU event his whole life, and now you can't see him get to play in the NCAA tournament. That's just a terrible thing for a parent. So it's really good for us that these kids can have their parents at the games.